Hi everyone, Cynthia for the Thunder Bay Art Gallery here. As you may have heard, we've recently announced NWO Now, which is our Northern Ontario Juried Exhibition that will take place in winter of 2023. The big news is that the call for submissions is open and the deadline for entry is Monday, October 31st, 2022. That's this year at 5 p.m. So in this video, I will talk about the submission and eligibility requirements, and then I'll take you through the submission process. That's just in case there's anyone out there who's interested in applying. Maybe you've never applied for anything like this before, just to give you a little bit of a feel for the experience. And I will also give you some information about how to get a hold of us in case you need any help or accommodations. So let's take a look. The information is all available on our website. That is theag.ca. And you can find all this information by navigating to the What's On menu and then scrolling down to the NWO Now Juried Exhibition 2023. So that's where all the information is. The Thunder Bay Art Gallery is thrilled to announce the call for submissions to NWO Now. The exhibition will be from January 6th to March 20th, 2023. And the exhibition is open to all artists living all across Northern Ontario. So on the right side of the screen here, you'll see there's a map. If you live in any of these areas, you are welcome to apply. So all media will be accepted, and works must be original and completed within the years 2020 to 2022. Artwork that challenges, expands, and innovates is encouraged. Artists at all stages of their careers are welcome. No student work. A maximum of 3 works per artist will be accepted for submission. The Thunder Bay Art Gallery recognizes that barriers to access exist for many artists interested in applying. We encourage submissions for artists from historically underrepresented groups, including Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQIA2S+ identifying individuals, deaf persons, and persons with disabilities. And again, that deadline for entry is Monday, October 31st, 2022 by 5 p.m. So each submission must include the following: a completed entry form, which you can download here by pressing this button, your artist resume, a maximum of 2 pages, and or a short description of your artist experience and training, including mentorship, learning from family members, and skill-based learning and exhibition or presentation history. So that means if you don't have an artist resume, you can submit this short description in place of, or you can send in both. You also want to include a 100 to 300 word artist statement that talks about what type of art you make and why you make it. Now you need to submit images of the work that you are submitting for the juried show, and you can submit up to 3 images of each work. That has to be in JPEG format, maximum of 1 megabyte per image. And please title your image files as follows. So the example here is 01 underscore last name underscore first name underscore title of work dot JPEG. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And there's also a $5 non-refundable entry fee per artwork to a maximum of 3 artworks. So that means if you're submitting 1 work, it's $5, 2 works, $10, 3 works, $15. And I'll talk a little bit about the payment options in a moment. So the submission guidelines and schedule are also available here. Any artworks that have previously shown at the Thunder Bay Art Gallery are ineligible. Artworks must have been completed within the years 2020 to 2022. All selected works must be ready for display. All shipping arrangements and costs are the responsibility of the artist. The Thunder Bay Art Gallery will not accept collect shipments. The artist, by submission of entry, grants the Thunder Bay Art Gallery the right to photograph accepted work for publicity, educational, and reference purposes. No entry may be withdrawn once it has been accepted or removed from the exhibition until after the closing date. Again, that deadline for entry is Monday, October 31st, 2022. That's this year by 5 p.m. Notification for selected artwork will be sent by Friday, November 15th, 2022. So here's a little more detail on the entry fee. Again, it's $5 per artwork to a maximum of 3 artworks, and that's non-refundable. You can pay in person at the Thunder Bay Art Gallery by Visa, MasterCard, debit, or cash. If you prefer an EMT or email money transfer, you can make a request to do so. And the way you do that is by sending us an email at submissions@theag.ca, and then we will give you all the information required to do so. Once you have your completed entry form and your images of your work and all of your supporting documents together, you will send your completed submission by email to submissions@theag.ca. And a note on accessibility: if you are a person with special circumstances, accommodation needs, or internet service barriers, please be in touch with us about alternatives to your digital submission. If you cannot pay your entry fee with a credit card, contact us at submissions@theag.ca to make alternative payment arrangements. And if you have any questions, again, you can contact us at submissions@theag.ca, or you can call us at 807-577-6427. Artist fees will be paid to the artists who are selected for the juried show, and notification will happen by email by Friday, November 15th, 2022. Okay, so that covers the eligibility and submission requirements. I'm going to take you through the submission process now so you can see how to do that. The first step is scrolling back up to this button and download the submission form by clicking here. I've already done that, and I've got it started in Acrobat. So just a quick overview of the form. At the top here, you have your contact information. And then a little further down, there's room for you to make up to 3 entries. So you could submit 1, 2, or 3 works for the juried show. And then a little further down, you have the submission checklist. That talks about everything that you have to include in your application. And then the terms, and then check your payment type. And then at the bottom of the form, again, we have that email, submissions@theag.ca. That's where you're going to send your completed application. So the first step is filling in your contact information, and I've already got my contact information at the gallery entered here for my sample application. Now let's take a look at the works that I want to submit. So I've got 3 paintings here that I want to include, and this is the first one I'm going to put in the form. So you'll notice here that the file name is not using the correct naming convention. So the naming convention is listed on that webpage, but it's also on this form. So I'm going to scroll back down here, and I'm going to highlight and copy this part. And I'm going to just paste it in here. So I'm going to fill in over last name, my last name, and then over first name, my first name, and then the title of the work, which is in this case, Lightkeeper. So I've got that naming convention all set up here. You'll notice that the 01 at the beginning, I've left the same because I'm only submitting 1 image of this work. If I wanted to submit a second image, I would keep everything the same as it is here, except I would have 02, for the second image, or 0.3 for the third image of that work. Okay, so now let's fill in the details for that work in the form. The title again, The Lightkeeper. Now the dimensions of this work are 16 by 20 inches, but on this form it has the dimensions listed in centimeters. So I've gone ahead and converted that to centimeters. So it's 16.5 by 51 centimeters. And the materials for this work are acrylic on canvas, the date made. Now I made this painting quite a long time ago, so I have to go back pretty far. On your application, you want to make sure that you are submitting work that was completed in the last 2 years and that you are selecting the correct date in the date made menu. Now the value for insurance. And then you want to indicate whether or not your work is available for sale. The no has been automatically highlighted on this form. However, if you want to sell your work, you can list it as available by clicking yes here, and then by indicating a sale value. So let's take a look at the next work. Again, I've got an older painting here, and I can see again that the file name is not using the correct naming convention. So I'm going to go back over to this entry form, and I'm going to highlight and copy this again, and I'm going to paste it in here. Again, I'm only submitting one image of this work, so I'm leaving it at 0.1. If I had a second image or a third image, I could include them and change the number there, putting my name in place of those placeholders, and the title of the work in this case. Okay, so now I've got the correct naming convention. I'm going to go back over to the entry form and fill in the details for this painting. This is another one in the same size, 16.5 by 51 centimeters. Materials again are acrylic on canvas, and the date made. This is another older painting of mine, which is not eligible for a number of reasons, but going to include the date I created it there, the value for insurance, and yeah, I'm going to leave this one as not for sale. Now I've got space for one more painting in my application, and I've selected this painting here, but again, you can see the naming convention is not correct. So I'm going to do that same thing. I'm highlighting and copying the preferred naming convention from the application, and I'm going to paste it in here, putting my last name in place of the last name area and my first name over top of that, and the title of this work. There we go. So again, I'm only submitting one image of this work, so I'm leaving that as 0.1. If I had more images of it, I could include them and then change the number from 0.1 to 0.2 or 0.3. So let's go back to the application here and finish filling this in. This is a bigger painting, 24 by 36 inches, but again, I've already gone ahead and converted that to centimeters so that everything is consistent here. 61 by 91.5 centimeters approximately. And again, this is acrylic on canvas, so I'm putting, oops, I gotta spell it right. and the date made. This again is an older painting of mine, but on your application, you want to make sure that you're submitting work from the last 2 years and that you select the correct date here. The value for insurance. And let's say this work is for sale, so I'm going to go ahead and select yes, and I'm going to put in the sale value. Okay, now let's take a look at the checklist. I've almost got the entry form completed, so I'm going to go ahead and check that. The artist resume. So I'm going to go back to my files. I've got my resume in here, and I just want to talk about the naming convention again for a moment. The application doesn't indicate the naming convention for your supporting documents. However, I recommend that you name your files something descriptive like this. For example, mine is just my name and the word resume. That will allow the art gallery staff to be able to keep track of the documents quite easily. So I recommend you do that. And this resume is just a pretend resume. I got this sample off of canva.com. So if you want to do any work on your resume, you can go ahead and grab a really easy to use template there. So I'm going to go ahead and check off resume here because I've got my resume ready. If you had a short description in place of your artist experience, in place of your artist resume that talks about your experience instead, go ahead and include that, but do something similar in your naming convention, putting your name and description. And I also need to include a 100 to 300 word artist statement that talks about the type of art that I make and why I make it. So I'm going to go back to my files here. I've got my artist statement, but as you can see, the naming convention is not very descriptive. It does say what it is, but it does not include my name. So I'm going to just quickly add my name to the name of this file. Again, that will help the art gallery staff manage the files. And so I'm going to check this off because I've got it there. Up to 3 images of each submitted work, JPEGs maximum 1 megabyte per image. Image files titled as follows. So I've already adjusted the naming convention on my files, and I've got them here. So I'm going to go ahead and check that off. Okay. Now the $5 non-refundable submission fee per artwork, I'm going to pay by email money transfer. That's my preference. So I'm going to include a request for that information in my email. And then there are the terms. So check the box to agree that you, to indicate that you agree to the terms and conditions set out in the call for submissions. And then I'm going to check this box because I do agree for the art gallery to release my contact information to potential purchasers of the artwork that I have indicated is for sale. So I'm going to check that off. Again, I'm going to check off EMT because that's my preference. So I'm going to go ahead and save this document. I like to keep the name the same as the name that it was given, but add my name to the file name. That will, again, help the art gallery staff manage all these files. Click Save. So now we can see that my application has been added to this folder that I'm collecting all of my documents in. There it is. So I'm ready to send my email. Let's go over and do that. So I've started an email here. I just said, hello there. Please find my application. I'm going to add a quick note. Please send me the information required to pay by email money transfer. Oops. Again, it helps if you spell that right. EMT. And now I'm just going to go ahead and attach my files. I'm just going to highlight everything here. Okay, everything's attached. I'm going to press send. And that's it, folks. That's everything you need to do to apply to NWO Now, the Winter 2023 Northern Ontario Juried Exhibition. Thank you for joining me for this video, and I hope you all are doing well out there. Thank you. Miigwech. Bye-bye.